Oh, hello there, yes. Well, Donald Trump's visit. Seems we're well back into poodle territory. Yes, yes. Whenever right-wing politicians of the calibre, if I can put it that way, of Donald Trump attack Britain, then obviously the right wing in this country are very, very, very front about how they don't really care about things. Yes, they're very much cheering on Sadiq Khan being slagged off, and well, I would have thought that a national leader after Brexit would have had the ability to tell Mr. President exactly where to get off, but obviously we don't live in that sort of world. We need to live in the world of real politic where we just have to agree to everything, because despite voting to, leave the most powerful bloc that we actually belong to, we've now decided to Yes, anyway, I imagine that nice Mr. Farage would come in and sort it all out, except he's made his excuses early at his, I don't know, whatever press conference he decided to hold. I don't know why Mr. Farage keeps holding press conferences. I would have thought that the residents of Clacton might want him to do something. Bear in mind that the recent crime data is showing that it's a crime-ridden hellhole, according to, Mr. Farage himself, presumably, although he won't mention that. Anyway, apparently, yeah, he's washing his hair and can't get to see Donald Trump or something similar. In other absolute farcical news, I did have to smile at, well, not smile necessarily, but this particular one with the Daily Telegraph were jumping up and down about more than 600,000 graduates on benefits. Yes, official figures cast out on the value of Mickey Mouse degrees, which is the sort of usual comment that you're going to get from the Daily Telegraph about, well, some people just shouldn't do degrees in fine art, despite the fact that, the vast majority of degrees these days don't get you a graduate level job, because we don't have that sort of economy, because we do and have had that sort of neoliberal government whereby they just don't care. I think that's it. They just don't care. It's fine just about, if your sons and daughters are doing doctoring, but now, of course, that's a little bit too far as well, and I don't know if the Tories do manage somehow to get back into power and manage to ban strikes against doctors. Presumably that will become another Mickey Mouse degree, yeah? Because nothing says well-run, tight-knit, entrepreneurial economy like banning strikes. Yeah, gosh, I'm sure that the doctors won't find a way round that by simply, leaving, which unfortunately an awful lot of those other graduates can't do because they're stuck in an absolutely stagnant economy, because oddly, after 45 years of tax cuts, well, something trickle down. Yes, glorious right-wing commentariats, which, I don't know, just in a bit on a lighter note, I did have to smile at this from everyone's, well, most people's, well, somebody's favourite head teacher, Catherine Bersinger, who'd spotted this, because she's somewhere abroad. This, by the way, this was on a tree in Toronto. Yeah, she's abroad. We have to keep guessing where she is by the photograph, and I keep pointing out that she's online. Anyway, maybe it's a joke. Don't know. We'll look at it, okay? But they have a website. Ooh, have we got support groups for anything these days? Yes, have we got support groups for anything these days? I don't know. I think so, and it's the procrastination support group. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, tired of leaving things until the last minute, often miss deadlines and underperform at work? We're here to help and show you are not alone. Yes. Anyway, I'll leave you to read the rest of that for your own particular amusement. I don't know, Catherine. Is it a joke? Very hard to tell. I mean, she comes from that glorious Mrs. Thatcher school of humour, whereby she just doesn't have any. And the next time you see her with a very earnest story about the way that a young person had earnestly told her something which she earnestly agreed, do remember the procrastination self-help group, which isn't quite sure when it's meeting. On a serious note, we still have nothing about Gaza. Could it be that in the Trump meeting they brought Stephen Miller with them to, I don't know, cast a hex on everybody in the room, which means that they can't possibly discuss anything to do with basic human dignity and functioning? I don't know. You may notice from the photograph that there are no mirrors in the room. Yes, and speaking of which, we had the glorious news yesterday that one of Britain's brilliant anti-Semitism groups has suggested that Miriam Margolyes should be stripped of her OBE. Yes, because she dislikes what other people of the Jewish faith in Israel, who are basically right-wing nutters, are doing out there to, actual human beings. Yes, I think we should strip her of her OBE. What a good plan. That's a way of dealing with criticism. I don't know. Isn't that a working definition of cancel culture? Possibly, eh? But no, because of course different rules apply completely differently to certain people. And if you're a right-winger who's basically a nasty racist, oh by God, you always have God and right on your side, don't you? The time when I was working on the site of the North London Synagogue for a couple of years in London, the vast majority of Jewish people that I met there weren't religious in any meaningful sense of the word. They go through the rituals, but it was a cultural thing, and were generally quite liberal in the same way that we've, I think, for most of the post-war years have expected the Jewish population to be. But there are undoubtedly groups on that site who were real hardcore Zionists, and there is a kind of that kind of overarching sense of being slightly in battle does tend to lead to a siege mentality, whereby there are seriously in and out groups. I mean, they're not sort of blaming anybody for anything like that was there, but the problem, of course, comes when you basically start thinking about owing your allegiance potentially to a different country that's not here. Then you start to see the world in a very, very different way. And let's face it, that's exactly what a lot of these right-wingers are saying about a lot of other British citizens. So I don't think I'm being particularly out of order, except, of course, I am. Because, like Miriam, I am being anti-Semitic. Of course I am. Everybody is. Everybody is. That thinks that what's going on in Gaza, staged as it is, the latest thing from all of them, of course, is, well, those kids they're showing, the really starving looking ones, they just have genetic disorders, they're just being cherry-picked out. And all of those pictures, and all of that evidence, and everything you can see is completely wrong. All of it is wrong, all of it. And if you don't believe it, by God, you'll have to put up with us being pains about it, because it must be true. Otherwise, you'll get stripped of everything. Yes. I don't know. I just, you throw up your hands. What can you do? What can you do? Well, you can look to your government and expect them to actually do something about it, rather than being simpering wimps to foreign powers. After all, that was what Brexit was about, wasn't it? No, it was about the brown people. Do have a lovely day.